After Germany was defeated and the Japanese was severely damaged at the island warfares, the Allies had the upper hand. Even so, Roosevelt seeks for an alternative weapon to ultimately finish the war. Roosevelt heard the news about the Germans succeeding in splitting the atoms, generating a massive amount of energy. Also, Albert Einstein wrote a letter warning Roosevelt about a powerful and destructive new weapon. This is a part taken from his letter. Some recent work by E. Fermi and L. Szilard leads me to expect that the element uranium may be turned into a new and important source of energy in the immediate future. This would also lead to the construction of bombs. A single bomb of this type, carried by boat and exploded in a port, might very well destroy the whole port, together with some of the surrounding territory. Roosevelt saw the possibility of weaponizing this new technology, that is, an atomic bomb. Consequently, Roosevelt created a research committee under the name of the Uranium Committee. The Uranium Committee was initially created to figure out all the answers to the use of uranium before the Germans do. Then, the committee became in charge of a project known as the Manhattan Project. This project was to weaponize the uranium into the alternative weapon that will end the war. When Roosevelt passed away, the project was passed down to Harry Truman, the next president, but the committee was still in charge of the project. In July of 1945, the first bomb, Gadget, was tested under the code name Trinity. The Trinity test yielded successful results and was a sign that the bombs were ready for deploying. After the Trinity test being successful, the USA immediately formed a plan to bomb Japan, and on 25th of July, the decision was made to bomb Japan and end the war. The initial targets in order were Hiroshima, Kokura, Nagita, and Nagasaki. However, before the bombing, Truman, Stalin, and Clement Attlee, the new British Prime Minister, organized the Potsdam Declaration. Truman, Stalin, and Attlee warned Japan to surrender unconditionally or suffer prompt and utter destruction, but Japan rejected the surrender. However, what many people don't know is that Japan has also suggested a negotiated surrender, with Japan keeping some of their wartime conquests and preventing Americans from dominating Japanese islands. Unfortunately, Truman refused the negotiated surrender and the order was sent. One of the most terrifying weapons in human history was armed and ready for launch. There are different opinions why President Truman refused the negotiated surrender. However, one of the popular beliefs among historians is that America, which was first attacked by Japan in Pearl Harbor, was still angry at Japan and sought revenge. The bomber aircraft Enola Gay bombed its first target Hiroshima on 6th of August 1945 with the Little Boy uranium atomic bomb. The results were devastating. Blinding light burned cloth patterns on people's bodies. Overwhelming heat and blast waves from the bomb blew people off their feet, and the people who were in the radius of 1 kilometer of the explosion site burned into a pile of ash. Small fires around the city gathered into one big fire, and the radiation sickness appeared a few days after the incident. Surprisingly, Nagasaki, the second target, was actually not the second target. The original second target was the Kokura Arsenal, a concentrated mass of manufacturing factories located near the city of Kokura. However, strange turn of events such as fuel problems and bad weather led the bombers to Nagasaki. The plutonium bomb, Fat Man, was headed to Nagasaki, with Mitsubishi Steel and Arms Works on the south of the city and Mitsubishi Urakami Torpedo Works on the north of the city. The bomber aircraft Boxcar dropped the bomb on 9th of August. Even though the plutonium bomb Fat Man was about 40% more powerful than the uranium bomb Little Boy, Nagasaki suffered from less damage since most of the heat, blast wave, radiation and light was blocked away by hills surrounding the explosion area. Even though there were only 2 bombings, it is estimated that the 2 bombings caused 120,000 to 200,000 deaths approximately. Many people believe that atomic bombing, even though it is considered to be an effective method to end the war, has many ethical issues. These people state that the conventional bombing without land invasion would still have been an effective option to induce Japanese surrender, since many Japanese people, including the officials, worry that the bombings would burn down the rice fields, which would starve Japan into surrender. They also believe that offshore atomic bombings, instead of bombing the mainlands, would lead the Japanese to surrender, even without the devastating consequences. Some historians have suggested that the atomic bombings were the USA's intention to demonstrate to Russia the power of the atomic bombs, therefore preventing the spread of communism by Russia in America. On the other hand, most of the Japanese officials who were pro-surrender stated that the atomic bomb, despite its destructive results, was a good reason to end the war before more innocent Japanese civilians are killed. After the atomic bombing, Japan had debates over what action they should take. On 9th of August, the raging debate over standing up against the Allies or surrendering reached a conclusion, with Emperor Hirohito's order to surrender. On 10th of August, the Japanese accepted the complete surrender, only on one condition: that Emperor Hirohito would still keep his position as an emperor. On 12th of August, the USA replied that they accept the complete surrender, but made clear that Emperor Hirohito would only remain in his ceremonial position. Even though the majority of Japanese officials accepted the surrender, some kept on debating that they had to stand up and fight. On 14th of August, Emperor Hirohito noticed this and ordered all the Japanese government officials, again, to surrender. Also on that day, he recorded a speech on the surrender of Japan to broadcast to all the Japanese people. However, some officials and generals still wished to fight. They believed that they had a chance to turn the table. They were certain that they will be the final victor. Therefore, on 15th of August, the day the recorded speech will be broadcasted, generals and officials who wished to still fight started a coup, and their first target was the recorded speech. The rebels, led by Kenji Hatanaka, captured the imperial palace and burned down the Prime Minister Suzuki's house, but failed to seize enough power and control to start the war again. The recorded speech was broadcasted on the following afternoon.
後世に至りては勤王深く勤念するとこなり、思うに今後テクノークべき苦難はもとより尋常にあらず、汝親民の中将も尽よくこれを知る。
Finally, on September 2nd, the official surrender ceremony took place on the USS battleship Missouri.
Mr. Shigemitsu comes to the surrender table. These dramatic first pictures were made by newsreel war correspondents and Army and Navy cameramen and were specially flown back from Tokyo. The time is 9:05 a.m. The Japanese have been on board exactly 10 minutes. General Yoshijiro Umetsu of the Imperial General Staff signs for the Japanese Army. The surrender documents by which Japan agrees to lay down arms completely and to obey all Allied orders issued by General MacArthur were printed by the Army on rare parchment found in a basement in ravaged Manila. Swarms of United States aircraft fly in formation overhead as the ceremony ends. The final United Nations victory has been won. The war is over. Peace is here.